Hey guys, I hope you've had a decent week this far, even considering all of the things that have been going on. I hope you've been taking care of yourselves, but I'm going to jump into this week's discussion, starting with what I learned about social work history in this week's module. I learned a lot, actually, because I didn't really know anything about the history of social work. And I will say that the documentary that we had to watch was pretty grueling stuff to sit through, for me anyway, if I'm being honest. That was a lot of information, and it was kind of slow, so it was kind of difficult to follow. I will say that a lot of the most interesting stuff that I learned from all of it was just how long all of this has been going on and how long we've been fighting for social work and to make a difference and to make changes in the way things are run, and how our government and society helps individuals who, I don't like we're using the word needy, but individuals that are not as well off as others. And most of the interesting stuff that I found it was mostly about Jane Addams. I didn't know anything about Jane Addams. I feel like maybe I had heard her name in passing, like through various history classes and things like that, but not to the extent of like actually understanding not only what she stood for, but like just who she was as a person and what she worked so hard for. I really found that her creating the whole house, I thought that was insanely impactful, and I feel like at the time it was probably really surprising for everyone that, you know, she was doing all of this and that she was making such a difference for people that I want to say, like, I feel like not that they were like forgotten about, but they just weren't paid attention to in their time of need. And I feel like it made a huge difference. And even though it wasn't like the first settlement house, I feel like it was still extremely important that she did what she did. For the question, you know, what surprised you? What do you think why do you think it surprised you? Like I said, I feel like it would have shocked everyone at the time, just because like that's not something a lot of people were doing, you know, getting involved so intimately with these people that needed help and like actually doing something about it. So I feel like it kind of surprised me that although she wasn't like the only one involved, like it was a huge deal. And I feel like the reason it surprised me was just because, you know, you think of like this day and age, and not a lot of people are like going completely out of their way to start this huge organization or these huge helpful resources in order to help people that may not have as much as they do. And I'm not saying there's not organizations that do. I'm just saying that like to start something as huge as a settlement house like Whole House, like that's a big deal. So to me, I feel like it's kind of unheard of, because even though a lot of this stuff that was started then isn't as like it wouldn't be as big of a deal now, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. So if you're kind of confused on what I mean, I'll try to get like more into it if you comment on my discussion video. Pick a time in social work history, and how do you think you would have liked to have been involved in shaping the course of social work? And what issues would you have fought for, and in what ways? I feel like my biggest thing probably would have been child labor. I feel like that would be my big go-to to try to make a difference, is to work against child labor and to make sure that children weren't treated so awfully like they were, you know, back then, because everyone thought it was normal, like everyone thought it was okay. And no, I'm not gonna say everyone, but a lot of people, that was the norm. That's what they had grown up around. That's what, even those kids, they didn't think anything different of it, because that's just how things were back then. So I feel like child labor specifically would have been my big thing, but I also feel like anything back then that would have made like a really significant change. So like obviously child labor laws, that was a big deal, so I'll stick with that. I just feel like being able to stand with other people that agree with you and that take it seriously, and being able to, you know, push the limits, and being able to actually take it somewhere to a point where it changes people's lives, you know, and it changes history. I feel like that would be significant for me, and I feel like that's what I would stick to, even if I didn't know it was going to be like a big page in a book later, you know. So, but yeah, thanks guys.